Hey there, so you're thinking of moving to Toronto. Well, we'd love to have you. My name's Kim. I am a Torontonian, born and raised, and I love Toronto. I truly do. Toronto is great. It is a world-class city. However, there are things to consider that some people may look at as a negative. So I'm certainly not trying to discourage you. Like I said, I am Torontonian, born and raised. That's not it at all. But let's have a look at maybe some of the other side of the coin that you definitely need to consider before moving to Toronto. Let's talk about the thing that we hear the most about, the weather. Well, I can tell you, we get all 4 seasons, all 4 of them. We don't miss any of them. One thing you may be surprised about, though, is Toronto does not get as much snow as you might think. Oftentimes we're sitting here in Toronto and there's not a snowflake to be found, and there's news that, Buffalo is shoveling out from 4 feet of snow, or Philadelphia or Washington or New York. So Toronto doesn't really get a lot of snow. So that's something that I think is kind of a good. Let's be honest, it gets pretty cold. I would say the coldest we get, I always say, is that last week of January. I mean, it gets pretty cold. Now, we are in Canada, so we use the metric system. So when I say this number, anyone looking at us from an imperial measurement country, don't be too alarmed. So Celsius, we can see it go down to about -20. Okay, in imperial, I think that's around freezing or just below. And it doesn't stay there that long. The worst for some is the winter. I mean, we have great skiing, right? We can get to a ski hill with about about an hour from here. You can skate at City Hall. There's that. We have a nice long spring. It's so beautiful when you have 4 seasons because you have all the buds coming back on the trees. We have an incredible cherry blossom festival, you might call, in Toronto's largest park called High Park. We get some rain, but no more than you would expect in the spring. Summer is glorious. Summer is hotter than many people think. A hot summer run, let's say in July and August, we can hit, again, Celsius, well into the 30s. And for our friends down in America, that would equate to close to 100 degrees, sometimes over 100 degrees. So that is not uncommon. We experience that every single year in the summer. Toronto in the summer is magic. We have an incredible waterfront. We have Caribana. We have the Canadian National Exhibition. There's lots of parks. We have jazz festivals, and it really is endless. So summer in Toronto is wonderful, and you can be up in beautiful cottage country within an hour or 2. And I'm talking pristine lakes, gorgeous scenery, and it's not very far from here. So that really is quite lovely. And of course, you can be in Niagara Falls within an hour of Toronto. So a lot of people go to Niagara Falls. And fall is spectacular. We get all the colors of fall. People go for long drives, again, up north, taking pictures of all the beautiful colors of the leaves. And by the time the holidays roll around, you really are in the spirit of the holidays. You can picture Santa Claus and his elves. And just so you know, in our opinion, Santa Claus is Canadian. I mean, he lives in the North Pole, so we have claimed him as our own. But yes, we certainly do get 4 full seasons every single year. Now, another thing that I really want to speak very frankly about are taxes in the Toronto area. In Toronto, as in all of Canada, we do pay a significant amount of taxes. Property taxes are reasonable. They're actually not out of hand here, I find, here in Toronto. Now, you do know that we have a wonderful healthcare system here in Canada. For the most part, everything is free. We don't think about going to the doctor or paying or anything like that. So if you're coming here from another country, I know that that's something that people do see as something that is offered in Canada, and someone's got to pay for that. So, yep, We pay taxes. We definitely pay taxes. But you can sort of see where it goes. You'll notice when you drive around, like, there's not a lot of garbage everywhere. There's not massive potholes everywhere. And Toronto is the jewel of the country, essentially, when you think about it, because it is the #1 biggest city in Canada. One other thing I want to point out about taxes is something called land transfer tax. In Ontario, when you purchase a house, you have to pay land transfer tax. And there's many calculators. It's based on how much money you pay for the house. If you buy a property inside of Toronto, it's pretty much double. Something you gotta know. Okay, so here's another thing that you need to know about Toronto. And it's kind of a negative. It's the traffic. The traffic in Toronto can be horrendous. We do have highways that go in and out of the city. One that goes along the lake, it's the Gardner slash, let's call it the QEW. And then we have one called the 427 and one called the DVP, the Don Valley Parkway. And that's about it. We do have a subway system. We have a bus system, and that all ties together. Other than that, we do have Uber. We have taxis. We have an underground pass system that you can walk if you're in the heart of the city. You have to remember what I said about taxes, right? So we pay a lot of taxes, but they take really good care of our city. What does that mean? The roads are in pretty good shape. What does that mean? In the summer, there's a lot of construction fixing the roads. Something you definitely should be aware of if you are considering living in Toronto is it is constantly growing. More and more people are moving into the city every day. What does that mean? There's a good chance there's going to be some sort of construction nearby. I remember years ago seeing a comedian, and he said, and this is years ago, he said, oh, so great to be here in Toronto, and mess it up. But he said, what's your national bird? Is it a crane? Ha ha ha. So not the crane, the bird, but the crane for the condos. And I'm telling you, when you come to Toronto, have a look at the skyline. It is breathtaking. And then count the cranes. There's gonna be a lot of cranes. Okay, so that wasn't too bad, right? I mean, there's good and bad in everything. If you're thinking of moving to Toronto, reach out anytime, call, text, email me, whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days. It would be a pleasure to help you. I am Kim Carreiro. I am a full-time realtor, and I know people all over the world. So there's that too. If you need anything, please reach out anytime. Hit the subscribe, tap the notifications, stay up to date with me. And also, this is not real estate advice. If you're working with someone, please lean on them. And if you're not, again, it would be a pleasure. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.